Hello everyone, it's Honey Lou. So I am going to do a VR from Liz at West Star Tarot, my most treasured decks. So I was thinking about doing like my only 10 deck tag, but since I got a bunch of different deck acquisitions recently, so you know, it could be different, but that seems a little bit limiting right now, and I don't think I'm gonna have a 10. So I thought I would do my most treasured decks, and I have a few, and it's nice because I could pick whatever and as much as I want because I love my decks. So I guess I'll start with like the first ones that I do have like a weird attachment to, and let's start with my first. Okay, so this is my first tarot deck I've ever had. Since I was 11 years old, my mom bought me a deck, and it was this deck. This is not the exact deck that I got, but I did get an extra copy, and then I started tarot, my tarot journey with the Rider-Waite-Smith. So this was the first deck that I ever had. Everyone knows what it looks like, but mine is, it looks pretty good. There's like a few cards that are dented up because of my son got into it, and yeah, but it's a little dirty, not too dirty. But yeah, so it's this Rider-Waite deck. And then I'll show you my other ones that I got like 2 years ago when I went to rehab in California. So my mom, we picked up these. So these do have the Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sturl. This deck I have a weird attachment to, and it's definitely a most treasured deck because it brings back lots of memories of when I was first starting out with tarot again. I didn't use this deck as much because I needed a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I was like, this one's a little bit too different because I was like super new. I did do tarot like as a young child, but I didn't study the symbolism. I wasn't really far into it, and I didn't really want to study it then, but I did know what some cards meant. So I got this one, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool, it's modern. But yeah, no, it just gives me nostalgia when I first started my tarot journey. And that's why it makes it a treasured deck for me, and I don't think I would ever get rid of this deck. What else was I gonna say? But yeah, that's the only reason why I love this deck. I love the card stock. I love the thick card stock. It was really hard for me to shuffle at first, but I still really always loved the card stock. I think it feels nice. And then another deck that I treasure that I don't use, this was actually the first deck that I picked up at Urban Outfitters. And I never used this deck. I never rode with this deck once, but it will always be, see my little beginner things. I had little sticky notes because I was so confused with spreads. And, but yeah, this one was a little too hard for me, and I still have never used this deck ever. I thought it was really cool when I first saw it, but it's not really my aesthetic, as I found out. But yeah, this deck would be a deck I would never ever think about getting rid of, just because of the nostalgia and the moments with my family. And yeah, it was a fun day shopping with my family, and so it was cool. Oh, this deck is called the Tattoo Tarot by Ink and Intuition. But it's really pretty. I find the pips to be very intuitive now, but before it looked really hard. But now I'm looking at it, it looks pretty simple. And then after that, I decided to order another deck. I never had any money at that time, so I wanted to just get the cheapest deck. And then so I got the Classic Tarot off of Amazon. And this deck, I have a weird connection because this is like the deck that I use the most for a long time. and see, it has Huggy Wuggy on it, and it's not even usable. I don't even know what to do with it. I don't even know how I could fix it, because I tried to trim it. My son was helping me, and it's all messed up. And I don't even think I want to keep trimming it, because the reason why is because I started coloring on them with watercolor, and now I just think it looks blah. And so, yeah, I don't know what I want to do with this deck. And then here's the back. This is my first trimming attempt, because I didn't care about this deck after, because I was sick and tired of this deck. And you could see I wrote the numbers because I couldn't understand it. But now later, like, I was like, why did I do that? Like, there's like creases everywhere. See, stupid. But yeah, I still can't get rid of it, and I don't think I will, because it just has so much value to me, and I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's my other treasured deck. Oh yeah, here you go. I ordered this one too, the Light Sears Tarot. It's not a fave. I mean, it is a fave, and it does have nostalgia feelings for it. I appreciate this deck, but it's not like a favorite deck to use, but you could see that mine's very worn. And it's funny because this deck and this deck, I was really like working on my shuffling and how to perfect my shuffling. And so these decks got used and abused. But yeah, I've gotten some really good readings with this deck. And so I really appreciate this deck a lot. And I would love to find an indie version of this deck. So if anybody is looking to sell their Light Sears Tarot, you know, for a couple $100, I could do it if it's in perfect condition. But let me know. I don't want to spend $600. I'll spend like around 200. But it has to be at the right time. But anyways, yeah, if anybody wants to sell their indie version of this deck, I'm willing to buy it off of you. But yeah, this deck just gives me nostalgia. I love it. It's beautiful. It's easy to read, very intuitive. One of my most memorable readings I ever had was I read from my dad, and my mom and my dad were fighting, and I used this deck, and I had a big kick out of it because they both were just like butthurt and sad and not talking to each other, and it was hilarious. But anyways, I did a reading from my dad, and then like the clarity was there, and then so they were happy and they fell in love all over again. They have a really funny relationship, but yeah. Okay, so another deck that is most treasured is my Visconti di Monroe. You guys seen this deck on my channel quite a bit of times. That's too close. But anyways, this deck is so beautiful, and it's one of my most treasured decks because I learned tarot off of this. This is the first deck that I fell in love with. I used to call it my soul deck. I still fall in love with the images on here. And let me grab my other Visconti deck since we are on the Visconti. Let's get it over with. But I love this deck for the court cards and the major arcanas. And then this Visconti deck, I love it for the pips. The pips are beautiful. But the Visconti deck has it's the most treasured deck because it's the first deck I fell in love with, I guess. And I learned tarot off of, and which is surprising because it's numberless, it's titleless, but it was just something that was so beautiful to look at, and it really kept my enthusiasm for tarot. And also, so yeah, I was working with this deck, and then I was working with this deck, and then I was working with oh shoot, okay, wait, where is it? Oh, it's right here. This Rider-Waite, and that's the only 3 decks that I had at that time. And so that's what I did. But yeah, my first soul deck is the Visconti di Monroe. I just got this recently, but it will always be treasured, and I would never get rid of it. You could really see the difference of like, well, they fixed this up and modernized it where it looks like perfect and pretty. And then you could tell like the cards that were redrawn on this one because they look a little bit funky. But I love the Lover's card. pips are amazing. Isn't that beautiful? And I feel like the people on here look like me and like my family, so that's why like this, I was like, oh, there's me with their hair. I don't know, and I love this pip. This is like one of my favorite pips just because it's all messy and but yeah, I still love these pips too, don't get me wrong, but these ones are amazing. I love the cardstock. I love both the cardstocks. This one's thicker, it's harder, it's more of like an altar deck, but I still shuffle the hell out of it. I love this so much. It's so beautiful. This is my favorite card too. This is like what I envisioned a tarot deck to be, and it is. Like, this is exactly how I would envision what a tarot deck is supposed to look like. I love this death card too. I've never heard him be that loud. He's just doing that because I'm on here. Oh my God, he's terrible. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud on my camera. We'll see. Leon. Okay, so another deck that is my most treasured is my first Thoth deck. Leon. So this is where my love for Thoth was first invented, was this. And it's funny because Thoth was like one of the first decks I wanted to get. When I first started Ethany's, her program, she did a certificate for, you know, becoming a professional reader, or, you know, certified reader. And the reason why I wanted to take her class, just because I wanted the accountability and I wanted somebody, a mentor, to guide me, to know, make sure I'm doing everything right, you know, not just assuming that I'm doing everything right. And so it helped me out a lot. But when I did that, that's when I bought this deck. And it was very early in my tarot journey of studying. I really was called to use this deck. And so I didn't really fall in love with the artwork at first. Like, I did love it. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, it wasn't like wowsing me. It took me a long time. It was mostly after like my studies with Thoth. And you could see I wrote all around it because I didn't really care about it. But after I did my whole studies, that's when I like started to really fall in love with the cards and spending time with them and taking my time with them. That's when my love for Thoth happened. And yeah, this deck is definitely one of my most treasured decks because it was my first Thoth. But I love it. I love all the writing. I love that I did that. Definitely brings nostalgia feelings for me. I would never get rid of this deck. This deck actually like got pop spilt all over it, and you could tell it looks actually pretty clean. But I spilt soda all over it, and it's fine. It's golden, undestructible. I guess I could pick my oracles. So I have, these were my first oracles, and I learned so much from these decks. But yeah, they were my first oracles, and I really resonated with these decks. And they really helped me when I was feeling low, and just, you know, I was in I just went through a breakup, and these were my first oracles. And like when I was angry or sad or upset, and just like my energy was off and on, you know, rage. I dealt with a lot of rage too, and they really helped me, what's that word? Regulate my emotions, I guess. Trying to figure out what I was, what I am, Like, I'm a very sensitive person. I do feel like I'm very emotionally intelligent. But there's like also like there's pros and there's cons about being emotionally intelligent. Because if you're emotionally intelligent, you feel emotions really deeply. And when you're feeling those emotions, you go through rage. And if you don't have the proper tools to deal with it, it gets pretty bad. So yeah, this deck is beautiful. Definitely love Danielle Noel's decks, and I love Rebecca Campbell's oracles. But yeah, anyways, this is the Starseed Oracle, and this is the Rose Oracle. But yeah, I really love them both. This is the Rose Oracle, this is Starseed. The Rose Oracle was my first one, and then I end up getting all of the other decks from Rebecca Campbell. I want to get her other one, but I'm just like, oh no, they're probably going to be a little bit repetitive. But we'll see. We'll see. Because I do appreciate these decks. Okay, now let's start with the good stuff. Got all those ones out. So I guess we could do my favorite. I have 3 other Thoth decks I guess I want to mention that are like very treasured to me. I have a lot of Thoth decks, but I guess I'll show you just the 3 that I feel I treasure the most. So the first one, it's in this bag, and it would be my misprint Thoth. I really love this deck. But I don't know, I really love it. I love every little imperfections. These imperfections weren't there. It's because I use this deck so much that I am kind of ruining it. But I think it looks really cool, if that makes sense. I'm like in the aging process, but I'm kind of worried because I don't want it all to scrape off. So I was thinking maybe I would try out on some other decks that I don't care for with the Mod Podge spray to see if I could preserve this deck a little bit more after, you know, I get it to where I think enough is enough. But I really love this deck. I don't know, it's just very magical. I think it's very beautiful. But yeah, that's it. My workhorse deck. The deck that I fall in love with every single day, and it never gets old for me. I've never once got sick and tired of Thoth, and I've been using it for 2 years straight. Oh, okay, we're gonna look at other ones, so I guess I'll just hurry it up. Okay, so this one's my 1978. Yeah, both of my 78s, I have backups on decks of my Thoth, but the other 78 I have, I really love too, and I treasure that one. I usually kind of use both of them. This one's a little more darker and vibrant, and the other one's more washed out, but I do love this one a lot. I love how vibrant and detailed. Beautiful watercolor paintings. Okay. Another treasure decks are in here. Maybe you guys would know which decks those are. So I put my 1983 in this box, but this isn't the correct box. I have a trimmed version of Thoth. So I just used this box to use this one. So this was my first greenie, but I think it's one of my favorites. It's very green. I don't really see much greenies this green anymore or available. But yeah, I just think this one's really beautiful. And yeah. This is very treasured because it is my first greenie. So then I have another one that's one of my first two. I have kind of like two that I got at the same time because I got them on a bid. This one didn't have a box or a guidebook, and it smelled like cigarettes, and then I cleaned it up and now it smells really good. And then I have another one that did have a box, but I won both of them. This one was like $40, I won it, and then the other one was maybe 60, under 60. But yeah, I got two at the same time, and they're both two different versions of the 83. But this one I think is really beautiful. And the backs are nice. Okay, so another treasured decks is my Kazandler Tarot. This is my vintage version. This was my unicorn deck. This was the deck that I wanted the most, and I really, really love it. It'll always be a favorite. I think it has like the beautifulest artwork. It's very small, but it has so much intention in it, and just like Thoth, they're both very beautiful decks, a lot of esoteric symbolism, mythology, and just so much color. I just really love color, painted decks. I love the gold borders. I love the body language. I love everything about this deck. But yeah, I guess I would say it's my most treasured deck because it's a deck that I didn't think I was gonna get, or a deck that I wouldn't really put the money into buying it, but I did, and I don't regret it. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm glad I got it. Okay, another treasure deck would be one of my earliest acquisitions is my Starlight Tarot, Illuminated Tarot by Carol Herzer. I got this secondhand, and it is gorgeous. It is a glittered deck, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. It was brand spanking new, and this deck is easily becoming one of my favorite decks. I haven't been able to put this deck down. It doesn't even feel like a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It feels like its own entire thing. It's very spiritual, like just the coloring, the way it makes me feel. Oh, I love that card so much. And look how beautiful that girl looks. The coloring, like this is my aesthetic, and I love all the colors. All the negative cards in here are my favorite. So it's like, you know, even when you're going through hard times, that's definitely a most, like, your most time where you're shifting and you're going through spiritual things. So I feel like it's resonates the way and why the cards that are, the negative cards are so beautiful. And like, this is my favorite color, this deep pink, purple, raspberry color. So there's a lot of my favorite colors, and just the pink and purples, and like the orange. It's beautiful. I'm so glad that I picked it up. And it was sitting there for a long time, and I thought, you know, people would get it, and I was like, I kept looking at it, and finally I was just like, I'm gonna get it. I did a reading, and I was like, should I get this? Or I didn't say, should I get this deck? I was like, kind of asked me about the deck. And it was all like positive cards, like I would be really, really happy about it, and I am so happy about it. One of my favorite cards. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. Look at that. I love all the colors, his face. The Devil card's one of my favorites. Okay. Another treasure deck would be, let me just pull out. Okay, I think I got them all out. The Medicine Woman Tarot by Carol Bridges. My mom's name is Carol too. I have a lot of decks from a lady named Carol. My mom is very creative too. It must be a Carol thing. I don't know. Who knows? Okay, so this is the first edition. I really love the matte cardstock, the line work. But I don't know, I thought this was just a neat find, so I feel like it's a very treasured deck for me. The line work is incredible. It's so detailed. And I don't know. It feels like home to me. I mean, like a lot of people like the Gentle Tarot. I think that's what it's called. But this is my Gentle Tarot, I guess. That's the best way I could describe it. Or, I guess, yeah, that's it. Yeah, this deck is very neat and cool, creative. Definitely very native and tribes, and so it resonates a lot. Okay, the Wild Unknown Tarot was one of my actual first decks too. I didn't understand this deck at first, but it was one of my first decks too. Oh, I love this card so much. But yeah, it's just very treasured because it's the indie version and beautiful cardstock, and this deck surprised me, and it was actually a good shadow work deck because it just tells you like it is, and very memorable because, you know, when I was in the survival mode or just in the negative thinking, when I get the Ten of Swords, and it was kind of just telling me that I was addicted to drama and shit, and I'm like, oh gosh. So it really put me like in my spot. It definitely helped me, you know, take accountability for my own actions and just let it be. So yeah, I love that card so much. And these cards used to creep me out. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, and this card is everything. Everything. Oh gee, I almost forgot like one of my other ones. That would have been bad. Okay. So I got this box from Target. I have not fixed it yet, but it has my cartogram deck in here, my handmade deck. This deck is everything too. My first handmade deck. I got the custom backs, and it's so glittery and beautiful. I got the gilded edges. It feels so good too. It's really thick. But yeah, I guess this was like one of my largest, like the most expensive deck I've owned. And this is the deck that I really wanted, the first one I wanted. So I did get it, and I think that was a big accomplishment for myself. You know, to actually go for the things that I wanted, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. And Agnes is really a beautiful person. She takes her time, and yeah, would love to get more of her decks. And I'm still deciding what I want to put on this box. I think I'm gonna find a smaller box to put this one in there, but I don't want my son to get this, so I hide it. But I wanted to put my Thoth in here and decorate it because it's like a perfect deck to fit the Thoth. Okay, so let's do my Jean Noble Tarot. I think this is one of my favorite traditional Marseille decks. Yeah, this deck it's very new, but it's one of my favorites. It just reads so well and it's so cute. But yeah, it was just kind of catching my eye and I bought it, and I didn't think I would really care for it because like when I saw videos of people having this deck, it wasn't really a big deal for me. But then I saw it and I was like, oh, I kind of want to give it a try, and I did, and it really surprised me too. So yeah, this is my favorite Marseille, the Jean Noble Tarot. I just think it's so cute. She's beautiful. And I love how like thick it is, the pointy edges, the colors. I love him. He's my favorite out of the whole entire deck. Yeah. Definitely love the body language, and this is type 1 too, so I really love how cleaned up it is. It's so nice. Sorry, let me just do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna be quick now. So this one is a treasure deck too. I love this deck. It's by Pablo Robledo. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's his TDM. I think he did a really good job. It's just one of my favorite Marseilles. That's why it's my most treasured deck. I got this off of eBay, but I think it's a really beautiful Marseille. That's just pretty much why I treasure it. It's very high quality. I love the smell it is, and it reads well. And it would definitely be one of my most beautifulest decks too. Okay. Okay, let me quickly show you this one too. I can't leave this out either. This is my Jean Dawdle Tarot by leetarot.com. It's so big, but I mean, it's like has the best cardstock. But I really love this version of the Noble Tarot, or the Dawdle Tarot, sorry. I love how clean it is. It just looks cute when you're reading it. It's just has a lot of personality, and it's large. I love large decks. This was my first Marseille, my Tarot de Marseille Millennium Edition by Wilfred Houdini. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but this one's really beautiful too. This is how I fell in love with Marseille, was with this deck. Love all the colors. It was the first deck I was really attracted to Marseille, and yeah, definitely opened up the door for Marseille. I love this card. It's so detailed and beautiful. Let me just find you. I show this deck or the others card every time, but it's I'm very treasured by it. This one. Chariot. HW. Okay, so the other one is the Saki, This Is Haunted. Oops. Now I'm getting nervous because my kid is behind me. I never thought that I would get this deck, and I did. I don't know why I really wanted this deck, but it was the first edition and it was the misprint, and I don't know. I just love all the mixed colors. I love color. And I love imperfections. And it's the first edition. Leon. You're funny. I was thinking about putting I Am the Artist tarot in there on here too. Ow, don't pull my hair. But I think this one's my most special because I didn't really think I was going to get it, but I really appreciate both of these decks. So yeah, maybe I'll just say that one is one of my most treasured decks too, because I don't think I would ever separate this deck and the I Am the Artist tarot. Leon, I think that is it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay, bye. Okay, I changed my mind. I think I'm going to show you guys a few more decks because I feel bad for leaving them out. Okay, so Saki. I Am the Artist tarot. Yes, this is definitely a deck that I would treasure and I would feel bad for leaving out. The Animal Spirits tarot deck. This is the indie version. It's one of my favorite Kim Cran decks too. I think it reads really well. It pairs well with everything. I love the matte cardstock on all of her decks. Okay, so I can't leave out the Ritual Tarot. I love the Ritual Tarot. It's really special. It's definitely a really special collage decks, and yeah, no, it's just something about it. Like, it's more of like an energy feel. It's very interesting, and yeah, definitely one of my favorite collage decks, and I can't leave it out. So many beautiful cards. I really love the Page of Wands. That's the Sun card, the Nine of Pentacles. The World is beautiful. That's my favorite card out of the whole deck, but they're all so beautiful. The Empress is gorgeous. Okay, the Golden Rider Tarot is actually really special to me. This was a unicorn deck. I never thought I would get this deck, but I did. I love the backs. The backs are like one of my favorite things about the deck. Oops. I think after I got the Starlight Tarot, this kind of deck is like not as special, but I think it will change after a while, after I get out of my love for the Starlight Tarot by Carol Hersner. This deck kind of went, boom. I don't know why, but it's still really special to me because I really wanted this deck and I got it. So pinks are gorgeous. feel like I'm coming back to the Rider-Waite-Smith decks again. The Intuit Oracle is one of my favorite most used oracles. It's an indie deck. Mine's pretty disheveled, but it's like a Lenormand. Nothing too special, but it just has some keywords on there. There's a bunch of cards. This was like my first, oracle deck, because I always wanted an oracle with big cards that were a fortune-telling card, and this deck is very predictive, works really well. I would love to try out some other decks like this on Etsy that are kind of cheesy and like fortune-telling, like what's the T? It has like 100 cards. I've been eyeing that deck up for a long time. But it just seems kind of cheesy, and I feel like it's not really my business, but maybe it would work good for relationship readings. But it's like, should I even be knowing people's what's the T? But we'll see. We'll see. I really want to get that deck and some other of those decks that are kind of similar to this one. My Rider-Waite Vintage, this is by University Books Inc. This is a misprint deck. This deck is special to me. It's definitely very treasured. I just got it recently, but it's really cool to have a vintage deck like this. There's no copyright. But yeah, I would definitely keep this deck because it's a treasure. The Tapestry Tarot has been put away for a little while, but it's a treasure too. I used to work with this deck so much, and it's so fun. It's very unique. This is a vintage version. They have, I believe you can get this deck still on US Games Inc. I love this card. It's one of my favorites. I do have another vintage version of this deck, but it's only of the minor arcana, which is kind of strange, but it has really good cardstock. It's like on a glossy cardstock. But yeah, I just think it's really cool, and it reminds me kind of like in the same family of Saki Saki, where I feel like it's like my spirit, and it's just a little goof like me. So it resonates a lot. I have a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith decks on here, I'm starting to realize, and I have another Rider-Waite-Smith that I can't leave out. Oh, and I can't leave out this deck either. Oh, sorry, not sorry. Okay, so the Albano Waite deck is one of my favorite Rider-Waite-Smith decks. This is a vintage version. It's not the 1968 version, but it's one of the first facsimile versions of the deck. This deck surprised me. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. It was like one of my favorite go-to Rider-Waite's until I got my Starlight Tarot, but this deck will always be treasured. And then the most used Rider-Waite-Smith deck that I have I can't forget is the Centennial. I can't leave this one out. This is like my OG Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Like, I think this is like the most aesthetically, like the most prettiest Rider-Waite that's original. And I love the cardstock. But yeah, mine's pretty yellow from being used a lot, but it's indestructible. And Heavenly Bodies Oracle. These astrology decks were like one of my first oracles too. It's my first astrology deck, the Heavenly Bodies deck. This deck, yeah, it just brings nostalgia from when I was first learning astrology, and yeah, that's it. It's really beautiful. I thought it was like one of the most beautiful decks. It came with a beautiful guidebook, hardcover, But yeah, it's been just kind of sitting away for a while until this summer, and I really got to know it and did a deep dive with it, and now I understand astrology and I love it. So I'm so glad that I held on to it, because I had, you know, a feeling that I would never get rid of this deck, and then it was warped anyways, so. And then I really love this one too. Very simple, nothing to it, but it just gives me nostalgia, and I would never get rid of these decks. Beautiful box, nice and thick, hard. This is the Taroki Di Dante deck. This was like one of my most treasured decks that I got in my out of print haul I got recently from the Eye. But I have never seen this deck before, and it's a treasure for sure. It's definitely a work of art. I've never seen a deck like this detailed and medieval. It definitely feels like a piece of art in your hands. One of the most beautifulest, weirdest decks that I've ever seen in my life. I really love the colorings, but I feel like it's definitely a treasure, and I would never get rid of this deck. It's so funny. Let's see. Is that it? I think that might be it. You know what? I kind of want to mention this deck because it's been really good lately. And I think I want to mention this deck. Sorry, guys. I mean, no, not sorry, because like when I'm watching videos, I love to see more decks the better, right? Okay, I think I got everything. Okay, so yeah, the Memento Mori, I just got this deck in, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite oracles. It's usually not my aesthetic, but I really love working with this deck. I found it to be very predictive, like crazy predictive, and I love that there's a bunch of cards, so that's a bonus. But yeah, I think this deck will always be treasured. I have really good feelings about it. I don't think I'll ever get tired of this deck. So this deck sits in my go-to decks, like my little thingy majiggy. Okay, the Rana George Lenormand deck will definitely be a treasure. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this deck. I think it's one of the most beautifulest. Lenormand, it's very traditional, yet very colorful. This was a Lenormand that I was looking for. And yeah, I think it's really well done. I love Rana George's book. I guess like the decks that I've done a deep dive with are the ones that are probably going to be like my most treasured. Okay, I guess I will mention this deck. I wasn't sure yet, but I don't know, it's special to me in a way. I just think I'm still trying to figure it out, but this deck, I wanted it the most, and it's the Spolia Tarot. Yeah, I don't know, it's special because it's a deck that it was like the #1, the most deck that I really wanted to get in my collection. And I'm still trying to figure out, you know, I don't think I'd ever get rid of this deck, but yeah, I'm putting it in here because I think it's going to be a deck that I'm going to treasure. It's more of a feeling I'm getting, but I think I just haven't figured it out yet. But this deck definitely deserves to be in this video. I love that, the Hierophant card. Okay. And I don't know if it's because like a lot of people love this deck or if it's actually me. We'll find out, because you know what? The Wild Unknown deck I didn't like at first, and then later on it became a favorite. And it you know, I never got rid of it, but it was a feeling. So we'll see. I think this deck might be a favorite. I think those are all my decks, my most treasured decks. Wait. I don't know. Oh shit. Oops. Tarot as color will always be a treasure deck. Just because it's beautiful. It pairs well with everything. Yeah, it's a work of art. I would never get rid of this deck. This deck pairs well with everything. But yeah, it's just really special. Very high quality. And then it's very clean. Another deck that is most treasured is the Dream Dusk Shamanic Tarot. This deck is very special. This deck, I don't know, it's just really special. Just like the tarot's color, but they're both two different energies for me. But they both pair really well with everything. I am more connected to this deck, but I love both of them so much, so yeah. I really love the card stock and the way it makes me feel when I use this deck. The backs. Love the card stock, yeah. And the gilding's gorgeous. I think that might be it now. Yep, that's it. I kind of want to show you guys a deck that I just got though. Let's see, where's it at? Okay. Just because I don't want to make a separate video, so sorry. The Hermetic Tarot. I think I'm gonna have really good feelings about this deck, and I have high hopes that this deck is gonna be a deck that's gonna be one of my favorites. Very esoteric. I love the details. This is my second black and white deck. My first one is the Medicine Woman Tarot. Two completely different energies. This one's like on the Golden Dawn and Thoth, I believe. I think it's more of the Golden Dawn, but it has a lot of Thoth-inspired artwork. Or is it the other way around? But I don't know, I just really love the way all the faces are. I feel like this deck is definitely a very masculine deck. Very beautiful. I love all the flowers too. The rosy cross. See, look at the tigers. Like, oh, I love that too, right there. One thing I think is weird about some tarot cards is they make the lion not look like a lion. Like, why can't you make a lion look like that? I don't know. It's really cool. Oh, she's beautiful. I love this card too. The dolphins, Two of Cups, perfect. I love the head. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hey guys, sorry, real quick, I have to mention these decks because it doesn't feel right if I don't mention these decks. Okay, so this one is the Voyager Tarot. I just did a big deep dive with this deck and I read the book. Where's the book? Oh, here it is. Way of the Great Oracle, the Voyager Tarot. This changes everything. So I guess like what makes a deck very treasured for me is a deck that surprised me or enlightened me or just had a really good readings with, or just something about it that like causes some kind of feeling for me. I love this card. This is the mass market version. I do have the vintage version, but I do love the mass market one just a smidge more. I do love the vibrancy, and I do love the green borders. Cheyenne, she don't like the borders, but I do like the color of the borders. But yeah, I guess like maybe that's the most treasured decks that I've saved up for the most for stuff like that. I guess like there's achievements of decks that I really wanted to get, and then getting them, that's like definitely a deck that would be treasured for me because it would be a deck that I really wanted. But this deck surprised me, and I am enlightened. I love his perspective. I'm so glad I took a chance on it. Okay, the next one I cannot live without is the Tabula Mundine. This deck is so beautiful. It's by M.M. Moline. The backs are amazing. This deck feels like fine art. The cardstock is amazing, very detailed. I love all the colors. So beautiful. Yeah, I can't keep this one out. So this one's most treasured. I used to work with this deck all the time. It's taken a break, but it would always be a treasured deck for me. And last but not least is the Playful Heart Tarot. I can't believe I didn't even think about this one. So this is what made me like go, I have to change, I have to do it. Okay, so the Playful Heart Tarot is my favorite inner child deck. It's so beautiful. I love watercolor art. It's so vibrant. And this was actually one of my first indie decks that I purchased. It was the Danielle Noel decks, and then I got this one shortly after. But yeah, it's amazing. I love the backs. There's a pre-order going on for this deck right now. I think I'm gonna definitely snatch up a second copy, but I love this deck. This deck will always be a favorite of mine. Okay, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you. Bye.